So if we take a very close look at the media in Hollywood, whether it comes to the film industry or the music industry, they have all been taking advantage of the Charlie Kirk assassination to really further their anti-Trump messaging campaign, and so far people are very exhausted over it, people are very tired of it, they are checking out from supporting some of these actors, actresses, Hollywood directors, writers, and producers that are spouting such nonsense. And when you're looking at the media, we have a lot of people actually beginning to call out the media, thankfully. You got some very big name actors out there like Sylvester Stallone, you've got others out there like Mel Gibson, James Woods, and among others like Tim Allen that are telling it like it is. What's interesting here, though, has a lot more to do with Bill Maher also telling it like it is when it comes down to the View hosts, Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, and Whoopi Goldberg via ABC and Disney. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, say what you will about Bill Maher, whether you like the guy or dislike the guy, there's no denying the fact that he has gone through a shift in his tone and his view toward President Trump, and of course you're going to have a lot of differing opinions about this, right? Some people are going to say that he's just an opportunist, or that he's going with the flow to go with the changes, or that he's genuinely changing his view on the current administration. There's a lot of different opinions floating around out there, and I would love to hear them below in the comments. What's interesting here, though, has a lot more to do with Bill Maher's take on The View, and of course on ABC/Disney, and what they had to say about Charlie Kirk, and politicizing what happened to him on September 10th, and more. Now, one thing is for certain about all of this is that with the majority of Hollywood right now using both the Charlie Kirk assassination and the No Kings protest to push their anti-Trump narrative, one major development going on now involves more to do with the hosts of The View getting exposed by Bill Maher of Real Time with Bill Maher for politicizing the Charlie Kirk assassination and continuing to divide the country. Now, Bill recently delivered the following in the midst of everything that's happening. Now, look, he says, I have said this to my audience before, but let's take a close look at The View and its hosts. They really aren't the best advertisement for women now, are they? You see, the problem with the media today in 2025 is that they still think it's cool to just go saying bad things about President Trump just for the sake of doing so. But that's what's even worse, is that they use Charlie Kirk for political talking points to better justify their issues with President Trump. And I don't know how worse you can get than that, especially if it's coming from the terrible hosts of The View. Yes, we are talking about yours truly, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and Sunny Hostin. Gee, she better figure things out with her husband soon. But what has the media come to now? That's the biggest question of all. Where they have to stoop down so low to a point to use what happened to Charlie to justify their hate for Trump. It really just makes no sense to me how the media just wants to keep losing their potential for ratings. But what's even worse is that unlike other members of the media, who I'm sure are just delivering their talking points as part of a contract, everyone agrees that they genuinely do feel that Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny have deep personal issues with Trump, and they have to show that to the world with their platform. And that's the difference with The View. It's just like a bunch of angry soccer moms spouting their hate for Trump constantly, and now their way of justifying it, they blame the right for the division in this country. Now look, I think both sides have their own views that are going to make people angry, that's for sure. Okay, that's one thing. But it's another thing for hosts like this on The View to go using the terrible thing that happened to Charlie, to just push their issues with President Trump. Look, if I had to give them a shred of advice, it's not cool anymore to lie about Trump. It's not cool anymore to find any major cultural event to justify your issues with the man, and to blame one side of the country. You are lucky you are still even on the air to this day. And what does Disney CEO Bob Iger have to say about it? Nothing. Crickets. And it's completely expected. Now guys, let me say one thing about Bill Maher's take on Bob Iger. And he's 100% correct. It's all expected. It is all radio silent when it comes to Bob Iger, talking about The View, talking about ABC, and, different lines around that. We know one thing about this, though. is that there's a lot of things going on with, of course, ABC right now. We know that there's a major shift going on when it comes to the Disney board of directors, the executives, the producers over there, trying to handle just everything Disney related because it's all going down the tubes. And you know what? Rightfully so, because they were really doubling down on, taking part in culture wars, really taking part in political propaganda in their movies and television shows, and even their actual television programming on live television, and they're still doing that to this day with The View, and that, of course, is the home of Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and Sunny Hostin. Now, look, I think it is a very good thing for Bill Maher to go calling out The View, to go calling out people like Robert De Niro, for example, like he did recently. And you're going to see more of this, I think, coming from Bill Maher. Now, say what you want to say about Bill Maher, that's fine. And look, we all have different views about the guy. There's a lot of different opinions out there about him. Like I said earlier in this video, some people will say that he's only talking out toward, those lying about Trump because he's an opportunist. Some people are saying that. But though, I think that Bill Maher genuinely does have an actual issue with the media. I think this is all genuine at this point. And he's always had some level of issues with the media for a while now. And when you're looking at the media, it's not just ABC. When you're looking at others like MSNBC, for example, just to name a few there, they just continue to actually hop on the anti-Trump bandwagon. And it's just very tiresome. Now, he goes on to conclude, they don't want to watch anymore. You can only go so far when you are lying to the people and using any possible scenario to push your narrative. Now, look, I have many liberal friends, and what they have told me personally is that they are done. This is off their to-do list when it comes to The View. People are done, and rightfully so, and I think it's completely a result of so many Americans going through that wake-up call. That wake-up call that the media, for the most part, is fading away because of their ongoing lies. And that, again, guys, let me stop right there about Bill Maher. He's correct that there are a lot of lies out there that are being exposed by the media. People are catching on. They're heading more to social media, when it comes to really seeing the contrast between the mainstream media and what people have to say, for themselves by doing actual research. Now, one thing about this is that when you're looking at The View, ABC, Disney, alright, when you're looking at Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, they obviously do have a personal problem with the administration. It's not just something that they are paid to do. It's not something that they are just, forced to say because of a contract or anything like that. They actually do love saying what they have to say on the air, and I think that's exactly why it really bothers a lot of people so much, is that people see through that. They see through the fact that, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and Sunny Hostin, they really do have deep personal issues with, of course, a large portion of the United States when it comes to American citizens, and that's exactly why they keep continuing to say that there are so many uneducated Americans out there, and how they politicized the whole Charlie Kirk assassination. That was by far, hitting rock bottom for The View, even in their status. But we know one thing about this right now is that I think that you're going to see The View getting called out more and more over time, to the point where there's going to be a lot of pressure on Disney to do something, at least something about that show. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I'll catch you guys later.